Dodgers. The Astros probably like we should.
Probably more so than others, yeah.
Yeah.
But look, you can blame that on Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah.
If they had just suspended all the players involved in all that shit instead of just being pussies about the whole thing, they could have avoided all this extracurricular activity. But they didn't.
And they could have gotten away with it too. Like
if it weren't for those damn kids.
Right, yeah. No, they could have gotten away with like it not even being that big of a deal because they would have been suspended during the COVID year.
Yeah. Whatever, who cares? That shit's over now.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I enjoyed seeing Carlos Correa hit a home run off of Joe Kelly. Thought that was pretty funny. So, that's the point. Create a fucking narrative where there's a face and a heel and then let it all play out. It's good theater.
I'm fine with the Astros being the heel.
Yeah.
And I think they are too.
Yeah, they are, as long as they keep winning. Sure.
Yeah,
they're not going to complain about that shit. So you covered Tampa Bay, right, for a while?
Yep. I was with the Rays. I was at the Oakland A's during Moneyball. Mm-hmm. I was right there in Tampa Bay when they were the worst team in all of professional sports. So bad that they used to get made fun of by The Simpsons and David Letterman, and that was an amazing place to be when I very, very first got there in 2005.
What was that like? So you were there for the rise, basically, of, I guess, the Rays version of Moneyball, whatever they did, right?
They've been doing it forever because they had no choice.
Right. But
they really had no choice. Nothing that Tampa Bay Rays ever had in their lives was original. Nothing. Everything was a hand-me-down. The ballpark, Tropicana Field, that was built to lure the White Sox and the Giants away. Their spring training facilities were hand-me-down from the Mets and the Texas Rangers. So they've never had anything new on their own. And what they did was they found really smart people. They found a bunch of guys who were Harvard Business School grads, and they had them come in there and just challenge the way that you look at baseball. And it was pretty amazing. Like Andrew Friedman, who's now the general manager of the Dodgers, he was part of the group that was doing the due diligence when they were figuring out what team to buy. He was working at Bear Stearns before they went bankrupt. And he would work at Bear Stearns during the day, and then at night they'd all work on their due diligence of buying the Pirates or the Rays. And he said, I want to be the general manager if we get the team. He said, okay, you can be the general manager. So Andrew walked around for, I think it was 3-4 years, just watching everybody in the front office. He was like a little kid walking behind all the scouts and everybody else. And it was pretty amazing watching him learn how to do all this stuff. And I'd sit in his office with him, and he'd read books, and we'd talk. And he's a brilliant guy. But the thing is, he is different than most general managers because he dealt with billion-dollar deals on Wall Street. So if somebody's going to sweat him over $10 million, it doesn't faze him because he's gone through bigger deals than he's ever going to go through in baseball. And that's why he always sticks to his guns, and nobody ever is able to fleece him.
Well, it's good. I mean, baseball, there's such a – I don't even know what you call it. It's just like a mad panic every single year to do something. And doing something isn't always necessary.
Right.
Like for the Braves, for example, they had to do something to fill out their outfield. They feel like they can compete. What they didn't do was reach into their farm system and just unload everybody to try to win this year.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that that's not the case because we're both Braves fans here. But a lot of teams seem to – it's like being in a fucking a toxic relationship where you're just going from one fight to the next. And you like it's insane to me how much time and effort is spent trying, or not even trying, but mortgaging the future for a mediocre present.
Right.
I mean, these people don't seem to be the thing about finance is at the end of the day, making a good try doesn't get you a fucking pat on the back. Money gets you a pat on the back. So these guys coming over and assisting with Oakland early on, then with the Red Sox, the Rays, and some of these other teams where Moneyball took hold of, I guess the Cubs to some degree, the measure of success was success.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, if we get into the top 6, that'll be great. No, we want to fucking win. If we don't think we can win, we're going to fucking hedge. We're going to plan for next year and whatever the case. And that's how a smart businessman does business.
But then you're assuming that owners are smart businessmen and not passionate businessmen, right?
Yeah, true, yeah.
If your team's dumping salary, then you did something wrong. If I could just go out and spend as much money as I possibly want every year, then the Baltimore Orioles would win the World Series, right? But what comes down to is what kind of team do you have, and do you have a general manager that can tell the owner, dude, chill out for just a minute, we're going to figure this out. But instead, every owner wants to be George Steinbrenner. They all want to be the boss, and they all want people to think, I'm going to go out and I'm going to control my own destiny. Well, then they make stupid trades, they dump salary, or they rush in and give somebody a contract and they don't think of a long-term deal. That's why somebody like Andrew Friedman, that's why the Rays ownership, they're all Wall Street guys. They know how to hedge their bets, and they know how to go through a bull and a bear market. And you have other teams that are just wild, passionate owners that want to win right now, so they're going to do everything they can to win today.
Is that so? That's kind of obviously not how the Rays were operating, right? Was there ever a sense?
Well, it's also not how the Dallas Cowboys have operated, with this passionate owner who's involved in day-to-day operations and shit. And that's worked out really well for them. It has been
the owner,
a million
if the owner
years.
could stand up, if the general manager could stand up to the owner, or the owner could stand up to the general manager, and one of those guys would get fired, they'd win.
Yeah.
Right? But
Jerry
Jones,
I mean, look, yes. Because even Jerry's admitting now that the way he handled the Jimmy Johnson situation was horrible. Right? He should have just let him keep. They probably would have won 4 or 5 and within a 10-year period for sure if he just left that shit alone. And you got to say something. We talked to Vesey about Krause in Chicago and how he blew that team up too. And I mean, he agrees to some degree, I guess. But
there's a couple things.
Yeah.
Okay. So I worked for Eddie DeBartolo for a little while, the greatest owner in sports. I'll argue that and get into a fist fight with anybody over that. Eddie, when he first bought the 49ers, he was meddling. He'd get involved, and then all of a sudden he figured out, I know how to build shopping malls. I don't know anything about running a football team. Let me just get out of the way. I'll sign checks. I'll shake hands with my players, and I'll find people that know what they're doing. Jerry Jones has not figured that out all these years of running the team. Great businessman, best businessman in the National Football League. Look at the value of that franchise.
$6.5 billion.
Right? Billion.
Lord. $6.5 billion. I think the next closest team is it Man United at like 4.8 or something like that. Like they've jumped just in the last 2 years way ahead of everybody. It used to be the Cowboys were maybe a couple $100 million ahead of everybody else. They were all in the like mid to high $4 billion range, and in the low fives. I think Cowboys jumped to the low fives last year. Now they're up to $6.5 billion, and I don't think anybody else is even close. So he's definitely a good businessman.
They're great businessmen, but on the field, am I getting what I really, really want? Which is no. So you need an owner that understands I could be passionate, I could sit in my suite, I could yell and scream all I want, but I have to find competent people around me and let them do their job. And you see great teams do that. And you see bad teams are the ones that the owners constantly getting in their milling. Guys, that's the only job in America that you don't have to have any prereqs for other than being filthy rich.
Right, yeah.
All these guys are, listen, there's not one owner in professional sports that's a dummy that's not been successful. In order to buy a team, you have to have some kind of success. But what do? They get in there, and just because I'm a great lawyer, Peter Angelos is a great lawyer, won all that money with all those cases across the country. Great owner. Can't run a baseball team to save his life. There's so many different owners that have been great in whatever else they do, but whatever else they do is not professional sports because there's the business side of it, and then there's the front office side of it, and often they get involved in too many of the same things.
Yeah, well, anybody that's been involved in a startup company knows that, one, it's easy to get from $0 to $1 million in revenue. Easy is a relative term. Getting from 1 to 15 million is a problem for most companies, right? Because that becomes the point where you need an actual person that is a supply chain specialist, like a chief operating officer that knows how to do that and not one of your buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need a chief marketing officer who understands digital media and advertising and not somebody that's going to go spend $50,000 on print magazine ads, for example. You know what I mean? In 2021. The problem is startups, especially ones with too much money, make those mistakes over and over again, and they never have to pay for it because they have the money to spend their way out of it. And I think some of these richer teams, if you want to call it that. Now, the Red Sox in the mid 2000s when they started implementing some of the fucking Moneyball strategy plus adding money onto it, brilliant.
Yeah.
And their success out of that made total sense to me. But some of these owners that have gone through these processes before in business seem, and I think you're right. I think it's just emotional. They become fans of their team and they want their team to win, and they're gonna fucking do whatever, and they're they're alphas.
Dan, think about this. Dan, think about this. If you're a business guy, right? You're a lawyer, and you're doing corporate law. Are there 10 reporters standing there waiting on your every word? Is a TV camera in front of you? No. If you're the owner of the Browns and you have truck stops and you make these big decisions on what you're going to do with your truck stops, so the pilot truck stops, there's not going to be a bunch of people standing there with cameras, and you're not going to be on the front page of the newspaper for deciding that you're going to upsize the drinks and make them 85 ounces instead of 35 ounces.
Right.
You make one little move in baseball, you make one little move in the Cleveland Browns, you're on the front page of the newspaper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, you're on all the sports talk shows, everybody's talking about you. It's intoxicating. The hubris that you have will overwhelm you unless you have people that can stand there and keep you straight.
Well, I mean, two things on that. One, Roman emperors used to have a person that followed them around during their triumphs, post-battle parades through the city that said, "You're just a man," over and over. Marcus Aurelius used one of those guys. The second part is, I don't know, man. I agree with you. It is about ego, but how can you, if you're Jerry, how is your ego still wrapped up in this when you failed so much? For an entire, there are people.
He's got a gold jacket, man.
There are people with children right now that are in school that have never been alive when the Cowboys have won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fucking crazy for America's team like that. So it's like being the Prime Minister of England. Who gives a shit?
But you get a bunch of people that are standing there telling you how great you are, telling how smart you are. You walk down, you have these big lavish events. Listen, if Jerry Jones wanted to have dinner with the three of us, we'd jump at a chance just to sit there and talk with Jerry, wouldn't we?
Sure,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because he's a celebrity, and that's why it's intoxicating. You know, because I love that thing about Marcus Aurelius, because that's the part for the movie Patton that I remind people of all the time, that hubris will get you. Think of all, you know, we always say that we build people up in sports media to tear them down. I agree with that a little bit, but I also think that hubris will bring you down each and every time. Think of all the guys that have done all these great things. Think of the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs finally break the curse. Joe Madden is the king of Chicago. And now, how many years later, and the entire team's been broken up, and all those folks forgot about it?
It's been a long 5 years.
Yeah,
right?
It sure has. It's been a long 5 years for Ben Zobrist especially.
Oh, poor sweet Ben.
I didn't do any of that. I'm just commenting on it.
Yeah.
Poor guy. So, yeah, it's sports is just kind of, you know, a soap opera for men, right?
Yeah.
It used to just be.
You say that with disdain like it's a bad thing. That's why you watch wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
going
to say. It's just like wrestling. It's always kind of been that way, and now we're just kind of admitting it. And the more that I think it's good in some ways. You see it in baseball.
It's great.
You see it in baseball with these young, especially the young Latin players, are really starting to fucking let their personalities fly around on the field, and I think it's fucking good.
Yeah.
Like you can't. How do you argue that baseball is boring when Tatis Jr. hits a ball fucking 6,000 feet and then flips the bat halfway across the diamond, and then they get in a fight afterwards? That all sounds dope to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan.
Well, unless you dislike the fighting.
But that's
just like the fighting.
Come on, man. What are we fucking gonna pretend?
No, I get that part, but so I always said this. So I'm not a big bat flip guy, right?
Right.
I'm. There's a certain decorum that you're supposed to have with these games. People are going to look at me. Oh, look at you! You're an old man. What do you? Get off my lawn, right?
Okay,
I can see it in your eyes right now. You're like, dude, shut up. I get it. But here's the other part of that. Then if you let that happen, then we go all in.
Yes.
And if you're going to go all in, realize there's a lot of crazy stuff that'll happen in sports, and I don't want to hear anybody complaining when we have the fights. The bat flip, fine, bat flip all you want. I strike you out. Let me go down there and I'll give you one of these, and I'll go like that or whatever. Here's the thing, though. I can tell both of you guys are pretty competitive, right? Mm-hmm. If I step up on you and we're in a bar and you've had a couple pops, what's going to happen?
I mean, I'm not going to fight another. I've been in a lot of fights, so I'm not going to fight. But yeah, I get your point for sure.
Okay, so if we understand that, and you want to let make baseball fun again, like Bryce Harper said, is it fun for both sides? Because if I'm going to show you up, then you better be prepared for me to show you up. And as competitive as people are, Dan, As competitive, you have to be that competitive to make it on that level,
for sure.
Right? There's all alphas, and if I've got a room full of alphas and I'm showing each other up, how long is it before one of those alphas takes it the next step to show that he's not going to back down from somebody else?
Well, hopefully not too long, because that's what I want to see. And I've got a whole plan on this. I hate pitchers hitting. It's pointless. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Right.
What, are we going to start slotting in kickers and punters to play linebacker one play a game like we're in fucking Pop Warner? Like, he's got to get a shot. No, get that asshole out of here and let a guy that knows how to hit. But the problem with that is along the same lines as what you're seeing, that now it escalates shit. Like, if pitchers don't come up to hit and they hit people, then you're just going to hit the other team's best player, right? That's usually how that goes. But you don't, as a sport, as a fan of the sport, even if you're not a fan of that team, what you don't want to see is the best players on the field not on the field. You don't want to see injuries and whatever the fuck else.
And that's what's going to happen.
It may, but here I have a solution.
Well, look at the Giants. Look at the Giants camp the other day when what's his name's in the bottom of the pile. Everybody's going, "What are they doing? They're fighting on the corner." Listen, if you these are not a bunch of betas, right?
No.
These are guys that have achieved some of the greatest success in a gladiator sport. What do you expect them to do?
Exactly. Yeah, and they need that. That's a release valve that has to happen. Like I was in the infantry in the Army. If you don't fucking fuck each other up from time to time, shit doesn't sit right. You know what I mean? It's like shaking up a bag to make sure everything goes back in the place it's supposed to go to. I'm not fucking kidding. That's how it is. So here's my solution to that. Get rid of all pitchers hitting. DH only. But you get a certain amount of free mound charges per year without getting suspended. So like in hockey, you can fight a guy and come back 5 minutes later. Unless it's a game misconduct, then you get kicked out, but you don't get suspended necessarily. You may, but you probably won't.
But do you really think we'll ever get 5 mound charges out there?
That would be great.
That would be great.
You get 16 techs in the NBA.
It is the only other good sport for fights. Like, there's never been a good NBA fight except Malice in the Palace. And then
wait a minit.
No, back in the 70s and the 80s.
Okay,
right,
I guess if you're talking, I'm
Rob, I got to go old school on you.
Yeah.
Ever see Rudy Tomjanovich get punched by Kermit Washington?
I have not.
Okay, guys,
it was
Google
like
that. That's why we don't have fights in the NBA. So Kermit Washington just rears back, and I mean, he just clocks Rudy Tomjanovich, almost decapitates him. And Rob, I'm not making this up. Tomjanovich, the former Rockets coach, you can probably know more for the coach of the Rockets, actually had spinal fluid spilling into his head and his mouth because he got hit so hard. That's why the NBA is completely went away from the old school rough and tumble.
Yes,
Rob,
all I remember is Shaq throwing the worst punches I've ever seen. At
oh no! Go back, like when you go back to MJ when he first came into the league, guys were lighting him up like a linebacker like a receiver coming across the middle, and the linebacker taking somebody's head off. Riley rules: if you went to the hole against the LA Lakers, the Riley rule is I am going to clothesline you, and you are never going to finish that layup. The NBA. Way back in the day in the 70s. That's why they got kicked off TV. That's why when Bird and Magic were coming on, that's why the NBA used to have their games on tape delay at 11:30 after they got done with Zippy, the weather guy, doing the weather. That's when they'd show the NBA because it was a vicious league. You look at LeBron James and you look at all these new stars in the NBA. Oh, I got scratched. I heard somebody this year during the NBA Finals go, "You want to see how physical the game is? Look at my guy. He's scratched." Dude, go back and look at some of the videos of the Bad Boys and the Pistons.
Go watch Kurt Rambis play basketball.
Go watch Rambis. Go watch Jerry Sheasting. Go watch the old Boston Celtics. Those were brutal. Those were UFC matches compared to what we have today in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want. Look, people charge the mound anyways.
They do.
It's not like we're introducing a new thing into baseball that doesn't already exist. I say allow the mound charge. Apply the hockey third man in rule. If you join into the fight, you're fucking ejected. You're suspended for 10 games, right? Out of the gate. Let those two dudes fight. Let's see what happens.
Well, so I don't even know if you have to go that far, Dan. There is unwritten rules that unfortunately nobody wants to pay attention to anymore. If you take out my second baseman, when you come up, you're going to get drilled.
Yep.
And if you take it, it's over.
Yep.
If you want to, it's probably like you when you're in the barracks. Somebody messes with you. Either I'm going to take it, or I'm going to take my lumps, or I'm going to push back. And if I push back, I'm going to escalate it. And if I keep escalating, it's going to turn into something bigger, right?
Yep.
Same thing in baseball. But unfortunately, we're not able to throw inside. You're not able to police it. You're not able to police the game because people are like, oh, you're throwing at people. Listen, I'm not saying. I worked with. I got a chance to spend a lot of time with Don Zimmer. Right? Zim was the best. Zim almost died from getting hit in the head.
Right.
There's a professional way of going out and doing these things. You hit him in the thigh, you hit him in the ribs, you hit him between the letters. You never go above the head. You never throw behind the head. You're not trying to maim people, but you are trying to police the game. Dan, is it any different in the military? If you got to keep someone in line, and it's the guys in your company, they keep them in line, and there's rules on how you do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always levels of aggression that are prescribed, either written or otherwise, right? I mean, it happens like that. But what we've done now is the same thing that happens always when organizations get risk averse, which is that you remove the mechanism for conflict resolution, and now there is no conflict resolution. So the only thing that could possibly ever happen is that it only becomes visible when it's at its worst part, which means there's no opportunity. There are no opportunities in that scale for it to be interdicted until it just fucking explodes.
Yeah.
And that's what we have right now. I don't think a guy charging the mound and fighting a pitcher is exploding. What I think is exploding is fans fucking each other up in the stands, teams having like 15-game rivalries where they're at each other's throats the whole time. No, usually if somebody comes out and has an issue and they fucking scrap about it, it goes away pretty fast, to be honest.
Typically.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, there's a couple examples where there's like bad blood, like the Cueto Reds and the Cardinals with Molina hated each like that. No matter how many fights they had, it never stopped.
Yeah, the Marlins and the Braves right now, that's weird. I think they're just trying to pitch Acuna inside and missing.
Well, that's what we're going to ask about, because that's
okay. So that's okay. So let me jump in, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Here's the thing. Back in the day, I throw inside. Again, somebody throws inside against you, it's a badge of honor.
Like
right?
Don Drysdale, right? Like people used to take pride in that shit.
Willie Mays knew that he was going to get knocked down 3 or 4 times, didn't take any umbrage with it. Then all of a sudden we get into the 80s and 90s and people want to walk out with Kevlar. Don't you dare throw inside on me.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in something. And Rob, I want to hear what you think about this. We get caught up in well, what about the kids? What kind of example are we setting for the kids? Now, I used to think that was garbage. Like, who cares? There's no 9-year-old that's going to pay attention to what the big leaguers are doing. But as I get older, and I now have a son, and I watched him go through Little League, I was blown away watching kids instantly emulate what they see on the field. How many kids do you see walking around dabbing? Social media makes it viral, and now you get kids that do everything that the big leaguers are doing. Yep. So you want to bat flip like Tatis? That's great. I got an 8-year-old that's bat flipping right now. You want to go and throw down and have him rush the mound? Guarantee you, Dan, if you do that, I'm going to have 10-year-olds rushing the mound, and where monkey see, monkey does.
Good. I'm perfectly happy with that, because conflict resolution at the earliest possible age, this is how it works, and this is something that we talk about on one of our political shows quite a bit. But we start off as human beings. There's always some kind of friction. There's some kind of conflict. We start off whispering to each other because we're super close. And the farther we get apart, we start talking and then screaming. And then only thing left after that are projectiles. When you resolve issues, conflict resolution at the earliest possible fucking level, right? Which is dodgeball, right? Or learning how to deal with bullies in a way that doesn't involve parents and teachers necessarily. Like it goes back to this premise by these two dudes. They wrote a book called The Coddling of the American Mind, and what they say is prepare your children for the road, don't prepare the road for your children. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Wait, say that one more time.
Prepare your children for the road, don't prepare the road for your children.
So when I had a kid, and I got a 20-year-old right now, we didn't baby-proof the house, we house-proofed the baby. Right. I didn't walk around putting a bunch of things in the, don't let him touch this, don't let him touch that. I said, hey, don't touch that, or you're gonna get in trouble. Yeah. And I made sure that he knew where the boundaries were.
Exactly. So you teach kids that. What are you going to teach them? That physical conflict is never okay, because that's not reality. That is not how life works. As a matter of fact, we have an entire industry of combat sports that goes completely against that, right?
I mean,
Let's throw one more thing in.
Yeah.
Rob, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say with the kid thing, I mean, people charge the mound all the time, I guess, when I was a kid, not in the kid baseball games, but on TV or whatever. Like it was more,
if they did it in your kid baseball teams, I'd go watch.
Yeah, right. But like that was a normal thing in the 90s or whatever, and like no one ever charged the mound. I mean, I could probably remember one mound charge in my entire history
because the
of Little
consequences were different. Like if you charged the mound in Major League Baseball, you might get a 5-game suspension maybe, unless you try to swing a bat at somebody's head.
You might be kicked off the team.
If you do it in Little League, you're gone from the league. If you do it in high school, you're gone from the league forever. Like high school teams will ban, the High School Baseball Association would ban you for the rest of your
you'd be kicked off the team. You'd have
forever.
It's the same way. You don't fight in hockey until you get to the minor leagues. There's no fighting in NCAA hockey.
No, there's not.
Right.
There certainly is not.
Right.
There's not in the ECHL, however. It's only.
I worked in the West Coast Hockey League. There's plenty of fighting.
Yeah, it's only
plenty of fighting.
Yeah,
you have to.
Here's the other part, guys: is we don't even know how to have conflicts anymore.
No.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. If you teach kids to have them at the lowest possible level, like, hey, you have to make a decision as a human being. Willie Mays had to decide when Don Drysdale's buzzing him up and in. Am I going to get mad and interrupt the flow of this game and maybe lose because of my fucking anger and ego? Or am I going to stay in there, wait for that low and away slider and drill it down the right field line and get a triple? That's my decision to make. What Carlos Correa did the other day to Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly's doing fucking whining bullshit walking off the mound, and then he throws a fucking belt-high fastball and Correa hits it 450 feet. And he just casually trots around the bases as he's getting booed. That is winning.
Right.
He won that confrontation.
Then that conflict's over. Now, what if Correa lets the bat slip out of his hand and it goes hurtling towards Joe Kelly? Then it's Armageddon, right?
You mean like how Manny Machado tries to do from time to time, right?
Well, here's the deal, guys.
No, that's very diplomatic of you. He definitely did that.
Dan, think of this. You're in high school, right?
Yep.
Cute girl. She keeps looking at you, keeps, watching you as you walk by. You make eye contact. How are you going to ask her out?
Me just directly because I'm a sociopath.
Oh, I was going to say throw a bat at her.
Yeah, definitely not throw a bat at her.
Yeah.
Rob, you know what happens now? You're 16, 17 years old. You don't walk up to some girl and just start talking to her like, hey, how'd you like to go out after the football game on Friday night? You got to slide into her DMs. You got to find her on Snapchat. You got to look for her on some dating app.
There's a whole process.
We don't know how to have face-to-face conversations.
But sports is the one place where you're forced to do that, though, right? Like even if it's not a team sport, if it's an individual sport, there is always the conflict between two personalities.
No, I'll disagree with you, Dan. You know what you hear now? You hear players chirping at their teammates on Twitter.
Oh yeah. Well, you can blame Phil Jackson for that, right?
Back in the day, if you did that, somebody's going to knock you out.
Unless you were Phil Jackson. He talks shit about his team, his players in the media all the time.
Well, that's different. He would use the media to get his message across to the players. But you got players. We're talking about peer interaction and peer conflict.
Yeah.
You got players now that will run their mouths on Twitter, but they won't say it in the locker room.
Yeah. But
20 years ago,
nothing gets resolved, right?
Nothing gets resolved because then I'm just going to sit there and not talk to you. Or I'm going to send you a mean emoji face back.
So how fucking stupid is that? So I would much rather have.
But that's how our society is.
It is.
I got to roll, right? I got to roll. When I first started this business, I started little. I told you I first started after I was attending bar. And I started in a little town, and I could run my mouth all I wanted because I never see anybody, right? I could talk all I want on the radio because I never see anybody that I was talking about because they're in the big leagues. Then when I got my first job in L.A. I ran my mouth, and I got confronted. And the player called me out. You're right, I said it. We had a resolution. He told me that, I was a coward and blah, 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 but I stood there and took it. And then afterwards, he came back and he goes, all right, you know what? I still think you're a jerk, but at least you stood there and took it, so you're okay. So he let me off the hook.
That's the secret.
And I had a rule. I will never say anything on the radio that I won't say to your face.
Yeah.
Nobody else has that rule anymore on social media. A lot of people don't have that rule in the media. They'll run their mouth and say stuff that they would never say to anybody else's face.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, and it's kind of like customer service. People just want to be heard. Like you might be right, but that doesn't mean that doesn't piss me off. You know what I mean? So
I've done Karen before. I've yelled at people in stores. I've been frustrated before.
Yep.
But it's part of our society that we don't know how to talk to each other. We just talk at each other. You know, I'm enjoying this conversation with you two, not because you're sitting there with a room full of booze, is we're actually having a free-flowing exchange of ideas, and I'm talking to you, and neither one of you are talking at me. That's why your show's successful.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, to sit around and listen to yourself all the time?
Right.
Like, what kind of fucking person do you expect to become? All you do is you just continue to manicure the information you already have to fit whatever's going on. That is called confirmation bias, right? That's
okay. So I'll throw this out at you, Rob, since he was dropping Marcus Aurelius. When Nixon had Khrushchev over, and they were touring around Disneyland, and they were showing him like stuff at the World's Fair. Khrushchev's talking about how great communism is and how great the Soviet Union is, and Nixon's going back and forth, and Khrushchev doesn't want to hear any of Nixon's thoughts on capitalism versus communism. And Nixon looked over and he goes, "My friend, comrade, don't be afraid of new ideas." I'm not afraid of new ideas. I like new ideas. It either makes me smarter, it reinforces what I already think, or it corrects me on something that I gotta rethink about. And I don't know if enough people are open to being challenged with new ideas.
I just like that Khrushchev made Nixon look progressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Nixon was probably prepared for the conversation because he had bugged Khrushchev's car on the way over.
100%.
Yeah, but it's 100%, absolutely, an idea that's not tested it's worth nothing. Like, if you put your information through the filter of reality, and if it doesn't stand up to the filter of reality, then it's useless. That's not anything. And people have no tolerance for that either. I mean, we just kind of make up whatever we want the world. It used to be that science and religion, or philosophy, if you want to bifurcate that, was the discussion on the science side of what is, and then on the philosophy or religion side or ethics side, what ought to be, right? Like, we're discussing what the world is. You're discussing what we think the world should be. Reality versus hope. You know what I mean? And it's not that the two should conflict necessarily. It's that this is reality regardless of what ought to be, right? Now, we can try to change reality sometimes to make things better or whatever the case is, but reality is still reality. And if you do not accept that, then you're going to be just lost forever. What did Carl Sagan say? For me, it's far better to accept the universe as it truly is, rather than persist in delusion, regardless of how satisfying it might be. Because
Rob, are you writing this stuff down?
I'm just thinking about how the world ought to be on a turtle's back.
Yeah, it should. If it was on a turtle's back, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah,
I like turtles, except for that. Who was that dude that ripped a turtle in half?
Oh, the Florida State player, Aguayo, I believe. Yeah. One of the Aguayo brothers.
R.I.P. Turntle.
Turntle, yeah.
The curse of Turntle. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
One of the Aguayo brothers went to a fraternity party at Florida State while they were playing on the team, and this was in the Jimbo Jameis day, when they're making the playoffs, right. And this is peak Florida State in the 21st century. And this Aguayo brother, I think he's getting kicked out or just leaving, and is like mad at, it's a dumb frat fight type of situation. And just takes this guy's pet turtle, shell to shell, rips it open, and then leaves. And murders his turtle.
And they've sucked ever since.
And the turtle was named Turntle because it was a frat house turtle. And the Florida State's Turntle the turtle. And
can I steal this and use it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a real story.
Yeah,
and Florida State has been cursed. They have not been good at football since the Turtle's murder.
Yeah, and that dude just died too, Bobby Bowden. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Although that was like a decade after the fact.
Yeah, Bowden wasn't complicit in Turtle's
No, he was
death,
gone by then.
No, he was already gone.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see the NFL didn't include ripping turtles in half at the combine afterwards. That is an impressive feat of strength. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, if depends. Are you tearing it like a
phone book?
Split it in half? Did he?
I'm guessing he pulled the shell apart and didn't rip the turtle.
What kind of guy is that? I mean, doesn't that guy?
He belongs in prison forever because he's probably going to do that to a person at some point.
He's a fucking psycho. Yeah.
Anybody that abuses animals usually.
I'm just going on record. I am against ripping turtles apart.
Same. Same. We've famous.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that's too controversial a statement.
Yeah, but I mean, if you need a college football fun fact for either your Arizona shows, I'm telling you, that's the curse of Turntle is real.
So you're doing You're doing the post game for Arizona football or everything, basketball, baseball, everything. What do you?
Football and basketball.
Because I see you're wearing a base.
Well, I'm repping the West Coast out here. I'm repping the Pacific 12 Conference, the Conference of Champions.
Well, when's the last time the Pac-12's won a championship?
Well, you mean like in football, basketball?
In anything.
Oh, they win all the time.
When?
In anything? They probably won a couple this year. I don't know.
No. In major sports that people give a shit about.
So in football or basketball.
Well. All right. So here's the deal. We got a new commissioner out here in the Pacific 12 Conference. Guy's really sharp. Before, everybody was chasing the Sears Cup.
Yep.
Last commissioner the Pac-12 had, he would talk about Olympic sports before he talked about football and basketball. Olympic sports are important. All those student athletes are out there busting their butt, but football is the flagship. Basketball is the flagship. The new commissioner understands that, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure you set up football and basketball in order to be successful, and then that's also going to raise the tide of the boats for everybody else and all the other Olympic sports that are important in a university. They need to win, but it's going to be football and basketball that pave the way for everybody else.
Right.
How are you?
I mean, they pay for most of the fucking down ballot varsity
they
sports.
They pay for everything. Yeah. I mean, every once in a while you'll have like
women's basketball teams that are very successful make money.
UConn makes money. Yeah.
UConn, Tennessee used to make a lot of money back there, but I mean, other than those major programs.
Yeah.
Like women's hockey, even though they may be more competitive, women's hockey may be more competitive than the men's hockey teams in universities because a lot of the men's guys go to professional franchises earlier.
Right.
They fucking have never made a dime.
Well, even I don't think a single men's baseball team turns a profit.
Probably
and there are
not.
some, maybe like Ole Miss or Vandy, but I mean, there are some really, out on the West Coast too, there's some passionate college baseball fan bases, but like.
Yeah, but there's so many. The good thing about college football is you can stack, if there's one game a week and you can stack fucking 80,000 people in a stadium.
Right.
80,000 people are not showing up to watch a baseball game.
No, they're not showing up to watch Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
If you talk to a coach of, let's say, women's tennis or women's basketball, they're going to tell you, well, say, hey, listen, I really like your program. I think you're doing great. How do I help support your team? They're going to tell you, buy football season tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because football season tickets, it's the big misnomer that you have. The football turns this huge profit. Absolutely. Football brings in revenue. Football spends a lot. But football and basketball also cover the cost of all the other sports. That you can't make money at sand volleyball. You can't make money at tennis. You can't make money on golf. So all the rest of those programs do depend on the success that you have and people buying tickets for those sports like football and basketball.
Well, since we're talking about college football, I know you're in the Pac-12 over there, but a little shakeup in the SEC, a little shakeup nationwide, and now it seems like the presumption is that this is going to continue to escalate into those just one major Division I college football conference, or whatever you want to call it, the NFL of college football, and then everybody else. What do you think about that? Where do you think it's going now? After
this is so crazy. 10 years ago, we had realignment.
Yep.
You had Maryland jumping ship. You had
and the Pac-12 was talking about becoming the Pac-16, right? They were already looking for more teams to bring in because they wanted.
Right. You had Colorado and Utah joining the Pacific 12 Conference, Pacific 10 Conference, now Pacific 12 Conference.
Yep.
Depends. Here's the big thing that nobody's talking about. It's the demise of the NCAA. Since that Supreme Court decision came down that really wiped out amateurism in college athletics, what does the NCAA really have anymore as a stick to control everything? They've lost all their power. They've lost all their juice.
Other than being able to control the BCS process itself, the NCAA has always had, not always, but at least especially recently, had kind of comically limited power against the major football conferences, right? Like the football conference, you saw it last year with the COVID thing. Some of the conferences are just like, fuck you, we're going to do what we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the NCAA could drop the hammer down on you in
like postseason bans,
stiff penalties, postseason bans, reduction of scholarships. They always had that hammer that they could drop on top of you, right? Now that hammer's gone. So it's like mom and dad just left, and it's a bunch of the 7th and 8th graders in the house by themselves. They're going to do whatever they want.
So it's like the Stanford prison experiment, except for with children. So we'll see what happens, right?
Southeastern Conference, Southeastern Conference, they've got their deal that just is expiring. This is last year. They're on CBS. They're going to ESPN. They're getting a ton of money. They're the dominant conference in all of college football. Why wouldn't you want to go join them?
Yeah,
so if you're Texas and you're Oklahoma, you go over there. You're playing with the big boys. And if you're the SEC, why wouldn't I take Texas and Oklahoma? And you're going to bring me a huge fan base.
Yeah, for sure.
The Big 12 games last year, I think the top 80%, I think 80% of the viewership, if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere that 80% of the viewership was Texas and Oklahoma. They are the lion's share of what the Big 12 was. And then they just got I think the Washington State president called it predatory, because SEC just went over there, pounced on him, took him. Now the Big 12 has to figure out what I'm going to do. Is it worth staying? Will they be a Power 5 conference? I don't think they will. I think they're going to end up probably falling apart, and the Big Ten's going to have to get stronger. The ACC certainly has to protect its flank. The SEC doesn't come trying to steal Florida State, Miami, or Clemson. And the Pac-12 better make sure that USC's happy in the Pac-12 in order to keep this conference together.
Yeah, but in these discussions that you're having, right, these hypothetical discussions, it's the conference and conference leadership trying to propagate their own existence. But they don't necessarily need to exist. You know what I mean? Like the universities still exist, and they're the ones that are cranking out all the talent. Who gives a fuck about the ACC?
They don't need to exist for football. They're still much more useful for everything else.
Sure.
I'll disagree, because I have to have a distribution package of games where I'm going to share with everybody else in my conference. So Notre Dame has NBC as their lone television provider, right? They have that whole platform to themselves. If I disbanded the SEC and Florida State, Miami, and ACC, which are the three biggest schools in the ACC, could they be able to find their own national NBC?
Well, they would need to find their own, because then they're using your pool, just like Fox Sports South back in the day, or Fox Sports whatever back in the day. And then, what would happen if I don't know, Disney bought ESPN and Fox and ABC and Hulu and fucking all this stuff? That's what's happened. Right. And now they're using the same distribution networks. They're just white labeling the fucking digital platform. It's all the same software. They're just white labeling all this shit. And that's what Fox did back in the day with all the different sports channels. And NBC with NBC Bay Area and so on and so forth. That's where I used to watch the Warriors. The NCAA has no power left, because let's say Clemson does something fucked up. Let's say Clemson violates some recruiting rules, and NCAA comes to them and says, hey, you're not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, or we're going to penalize you this way. And they're like, you know what? Fuck you. We're going to the SEC. We're going to We're going to go to the SEC and be part of that conference with our own distribution. Fuck the BCS. We're going to play with the best teams in the country, which are SEC and ACC and Big Ten, right?
I don't think we're to that point yet.
Not yet.
I still think the NCAA can still drop the hammer and severely penalize you if you do something like that. But
only in the meantime, right?
Have more,
like 5 or 10 years. Only in the meantime, 5 or 10 years from now, that's probably not going to be the case if this trend continues.
Well, here's the other part that we haven't thrown out there. Remember, all of this is not controlled by the athletic department. These are all these conferences and the universities are all controlled by school presidents,
right?
Which for the most part are academians, not sports fans,
right?
So the academians are the ones that are deciding, like the Pacific 12 Conference, right? They want research institutes with some kind of homogeny of the West Coast, and they have a lot of things that has nothing to do with football. So they're going to go out and look for other schools. You know what we need? Do we need a really great football program that can win and bring us more money to the conference? No. School president says, I'd like to have a school that's a research institute that matches our academic curriculum.
Right. And so the football, what do you call it? The AD says, all right, cool. Here's what we'll do. We'll give 10% of our football revenue this year to academia, like to whatever specific research program. You could use that as a leveraging chip now. If you're the Pac-12 and you want to bring in, I don't know, Cal Poly, not that they would, right? But if you wanted to bring in Cal Poly for their academics, you'd be like, hey, look, you get this part of the fucking revenue from the football program. Why wouldn't you want to come over here? It's not like you can't have both, right? Because that's what we have now.
Well,
we have all these varsity sports that are being subsidized by football. Why not make it academia as well? And it already is to some degree.
You do. So Nick Saban talks about this, that college athletics is the porch to your university.
Yep.
So look at Texas A&M a couple years ago, and they had Johnny Football. they had money coming in like they've never had before because of the success. They had donors that were showing up, but more importantly, kids thought that Texas A&M was cool.
Yep.
And their admissions and their applications went through the roof. They're able to get better kids coming in. They're getting smarter kids coming in, higher GPAs, higher SAT scores, which made them a more desirable institution, which also gave them more research money. So the bottom line was Johnny Football didn't bring in all that money just in football tickets and in the expansion of the Texas A&M stadium. He brought it in across the board to the entire university, and all the tides rise with that boat.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we're seeing is free market capitalism happening in college sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the restraints are being taken off because it was kind of not free market.
No, I mean, the NCAA has manipulated these organizations financially for quite a while now, right? I mean, let's be fucking real frank about that. And look, the schools didn't have anything to say about it because they were reaping the benefits as well. It was only the players that were getting fucked for all that time.
Right.
Now the players have power, right? The players have power.
How much student loans did you guys walk away with?
The U.S. government, you paid for mine. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. By the way, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I say that is the father of a midshipman. So my son's aspiring to have a military career. So thank you for your service. I appreciate that. I have a whole new perspective on watching and seeing what our military people go through, and it shocks me, and I'm just in awe of folks that serve in uniform and the sacrifices they make that I never understood before my son decided this is what he wanted to do for a living.
Or are you going to go to the Army Navy? It's in MetLife this year.
Is it?
We went. We went. I went. I took him because when he told us he wanted to join the military, we said, my wife said, "Okay, we'll support you, but we want you to go in as an officer. It's a tough enough life as it is.
Yeah.
Why don't you try to be an officer?" So we took him. So he's been aspiring forever, and we took him to the Army Navy game. And we took him. He was all Army, all gung ho. Like he was 100%.
Until he saw that bullshit triple option, he was like, "Fuck this."
So then he went and he saw the mids, and he goes, "Man, those guys are buttoned up. I want to be one of those." So that's what he aspired for forever. And he actually got into the United States Merchant Marine Academy. Awesome. And then when he's planning on going active duty Navy as soon as he graduates. So
that's good. Yeah.
Anyways, take you down rat hole. All right, let me ask you this: How much money do most people walk away with after they go to college?
I would say, I think the average for an undergrad degree is somewhere between 50 and 60K in student loan debt. That's the average. But if you go to a nicer university, if you're an out-of-state guy, something like that, it's more like 100, 120, give or take.
Okay. Rob, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I went in-state at a major. So I went to the University of Missouri, so I probably walked away with like 30-ish, something, 40, 50 maybe.
It's not crazy for people to walk away from Mizzou $100,000 in debt, right?
Yeah, for sure, especially the out-of-staters, like you said. Yeah.
Dan, you say that you got your education for free thanks to the U.S. taxpayers. You didn't get it for free. You had to do something. You had to give something more than just money. You had to give years in your life of commitment to serve our country in order to get that college paid for, right?
Right.
Tonstoffel. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So as everybody's saying, oh, these college athletes, you get something from it. Yeah, absolutely. If you're a football player and you're a basketball player, you're bringing in more money than you're getting back in return. That's part of life. But nobody's getting nothing for going to be a college athlete. You're getting something. Now, maybe if you're Kayvon Thibodeau at Oregon and you're bringing in $5 million and you're only getting $100,000 education, well, or good for Oregon, they made a profit off of you. But there's a swimmer out there that is bringing in zero, and she's getting $100,000 education.
Right.
Student athletes do get something from this, and I get irritated when I hear people going, "Why? What did he get out of this? These players aren't getting it." Hey, listen, you know what? Tell that to somebody who walked away with $200,000 in student loans when they got done with college.
Sure. I mean, but this is a bigger discussion about the inefficiency of our education system in the country, right? The fact that you could even incur $100,000 in debt by becoming
too much money chasing too few
or
goods.
even just beyond that, like it's not even that they're not getting anything. Because I agree. I mean, most athletes, even on the football team, are probably only worth their scholarship, except for like maybe like 20 guys.
But this is two different conversations, right? Like him being able to monetize himself outside of that organization is a completely different discussion.
You shouldn't. Right? They should. It's them not being able, like them being told they cannot make money.
Yeah, that's always been
the
weird
weird thing.
I think you have to decide: are athletic departments one big unit, or are the football teams separate than everybody else? Because if it's all one big unit, then it's a business. And you know what? There's in let's say in our broadcasting business, all right. So the guy behind the microphone is the talent, and he's the one bringing in the eyes and the eyeballs and the ears. But the technical guy backstage doesn't get paid as much. But I couldn't do what I'm doing without him.
Correct, but he still gets paid less.
He still gets paid less, right? So it just depends. Are they one big, or is it one big program? Or is it each individual sport? And if it's each individual sport, we do have to point out the fact that there are a lot of sports that just track and field is not going to bring in any dollars, and they are living on the greatness of the sports, that the revenue sports that come in.
Right. I mean, it's symbiotic, right? It's got to be. That's how most things in life are. There's an A and a B, and they fit together and benefit from one another's. It's what all human civilization is. We figured out, to keep the predators away, we should probably get into, at least slightly larger groups than we were before. And then it escalates.
Most of the conversations you have on this kind of devolve back into Marcus Aurelius?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I just want to make sure I don't want to drag down the program.
No, I think that pretty much everything that happens in sports is in sports maybe more so than any other avenue. Because of the nature of competition and conflict, right, and how it is a mirror of society, how things are going in society, that's why I love sports so much. I mean, aside from just the competition, it's that I don't need to watch a drama on television. I can watch real shit happening right here, and I think that was the initial thing about social media that made it so appealing to everybody. Like I can see all this stuff play out in real time now. I can see. Yeah.
I'm tweeting about somebody touching my stuff on a flight.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see those conflicts play out, and I love that shit. So that's, of course.
So you're a reality TV junkie then?
No, I hate it.
No, you like real reality TV, not scripted reality, where they put they put people at odds to try to see what happens.
This is
actual reality.
Yeah, sports is real reality television. It really is. I mean, you see everybody at their. We have I guess the privilege of seeing people perform at some of the highest levels, but also see them at their lowest points, right? Which is, unfortunately, people, instead of appreciating that and appreciating the actor or the artist or the athlete or whatever it is, they revel. We like to dance on each other's graves here in America for some reason. I don't understand why it is. We like to spike the football when it's unnecessary.
There's a lot of Schadenfreude kind of.
Yeah, there's very little grace in American society these days. And I don't understand why, because if you're not offering grace, you're operating from the position that you don't fuck up. And if you're operating from that position, you are completely fucked in life. Like you,
I tell my son all the time, there's only one perfect guy and you're not him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did the math one time. If 1% of the shit I say is stupid, then I say on air 7 minutes of stupid shit every single week. And I think there's a pretty good chance I say 1% stupid shit, right? So what the fuck, man? That's a lot. It's just compiling. Anyways, yeah, we devolve into social discussions a lot.
Okay, good. You guys want to go? You guys want to go on with me on a non-fungible token, NFTs?
Yeah, let's do it.
You guys, I finally figured out what they are.
Yeah, I mean, now that everybody stopped talking about it, you mean? I guess Tom Brady's releasing one, he said.
Chipper Jones releasing one I saw the other day.
What's it going to be?
It's just like a weird video of like him, like it's like a weird CGI video, and it's like 3D. It goes like around him, like it's like a cinematic shot, and it's showing like random shit from his career. It was extremely bizarre, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like have a hologram of this like playing in my rec room or something, where it's just like
Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, who's got a shot at being a Heisman Trophy winner as a defensive lineman. He gave me a lesson on non-fungible tokens at Pac-12 Media Day. Pretty amazing. So his is like $85. He partnered up with Phil Knight from Nike and somebody else. So he explained to me, he goes, it's a digital baseball card. You keep it. You do whatever you want from it. It'll go up in value, down in value, whatever. And then when you decide to sell it, if you make a profit at it or you make a loss at it, he gets 10% kickback from his non-fungible token. So he says it's you're investing in something that could go up in value, just like if you bought a rookie baseball card one day.
But
his is like $85. I'm thinking of buying one just to see, and I can explain and experience what a non-fungible token is.
I mean, I've spent a dumber $85.
Yeah, I spent
most weekends.
I'm not.
You're going to Taco Bell with me? I'll drop $85 if three of us went to Taco Bell.
Well, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already high, so we may as well. I spent $50 yesterday on one of those egg chairs. You know what it is? Like the hanging chair.
Oh yeah,
for my dog.
For your dog?
Because I thought it'd be funny to see him sitting in it, but he's too big, so I got to give it away. So if anybody's got a cat out there that wants a stupid thing,
why would you put your dog in a chair?
Because I'm bored. I don't know.
Are you going to start grabbing turtles next? Come on.
No, it's like I'm not fucking duct taping his ass to the thing. I'm providing him with a place that's soft to sit.
Could he get into it though? I feel like the swinging of it, like the dog would fuck it up.
That's what I said when we were at the store, but someone talked me into it.
Someone was like, "No, it's
someone with."
See, I bought a little $20 stool that pops up, and I made sure that it could hold up to 400 pounds. So I have a stool to sit on when I go watch practice or I go to a game.
Yeah, that's smart. You don't want to be sitting there on the sidelines in Tucson just sweating your ass off on your feet all day.
You're already going to be sweating. Jesus Christ, it's hot out there.
No, it's nice. Listen, I lived in Florida. Dude, you sweat in Florida, right?
Yeah.
You sweat. You walk out, you got to chew the air because it's so thick and full of moisture. I put one of those bags that you put in your closet to get rid of the dampness. I put one of those in my car just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. 12 hours, completely full of water.
Oof. It's gross.
That's how gross it is. Here, it's a dry heat. I don't mind it. I got a pool. I jump in it twice a day. I love it.
A dry heat at 130 is still pretty goddamn hot.
It gets pretty brutal. Yeah. I mean, Vegas in July was like one of the worst weekends of my life. Just from I'm just too I'm like a snowman.
Rob, don't you ever say anything bad about Vegas.
I mean, inside it was great. In the casino, it was fantastic.
We were there for the McGregor fight not too long ago, that weekend when it was like 120 the whole time. It was pretty brutal. But, who cares? Although, here's the one part that pissed me off. We got an Uber from somewhere to somewhere else. I don't remember where because I was probably fucked up. But got an Uber, and the AC in this guy's vehicle is not good, right? And he was like, "Oh, sorry about it's just so hot out here." I'm like, "No, your AC's fucked up, bro. I've been driving in cars all day today. What do you think? This is the first car and you're gonna trick me into thinking that it's so hot that modern technology can't figure it out? No. Get your fucking... If you're driving an Uber in Vegas and your AC doesn't work, you should just drive that car right over the Hoover Dam. Just drive into the fucking water and let that be the end.
He's not getting 5 stars from you is what we're saying.
No, he did not. He got 0 stars. Well, 1 because you can't give 0. But
yeah. But I mean, if you're getting out and like you got just like a wet taint from your shorts are
it was on the
bottom.
way to the fight too, so we were wearing like normal, like not super nice clothes, but we were dressed. We weren't heading to a gun range or something like that. We were going to an event, and I'm just fucking sweating. I'm like, oh, this is great, man.
You did not look as good as Jared Leto, is what you're telling me.
Well, I don't know. He's half the time he looks like he's fucking on heroin, and the other. No,
I meant at the fight.
Oh, I didn't see him.
Oh, he looked good. You didn't see that picture in the weeks.
Oh, I thought Rob had better seats than Dan.
No.
I thought Rob was being all bougie down in the
he was hanging out with his bullshit wife and kids. So, you were rubbing cocoa butter on your wife's stomach.
Yeah, my unborn child. It was the baby shower weekend.
Oh, that's
I couldn't go. The kid's already screwing up my life.
Yeah,
and it's not even here yet. I couldn't.
Wait a minute. The baby shower weekend.
Yeah, we had a baby shower the same weekend as the McGregor fight, so I had to do that instead of.
I didn't even know the husband.
Why did you have to be there for the baby shower?
Yeah, I didn't think that was a thing.
No, it's like a modern whatever. I thought it was just a party.
You gotta hold the line, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
Rob,
diamond hands.
Rob, I'm begging you. You're not gonna have a gender reveal, are you?
No, fuck no. No. I light enough stuff on fire already. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, and you will not allow that to happen, will you?
No, I'll show up to the gender reveal and fuck it up.
Yeah.
Before I'll find out what the gender is and tell everybody before, so there'd be no point.
Appreciate that. Yeah, he was already threatening me with weird shit at the baby shower before
I didn't go to the baby shower. I didn't go to my wife's baby shower.
Well, the whole fucking thing is like a guy. It's supposed to like the traditional or like whatever thing is like obviously the baby shower is all women and then the guys have like a diaper party or something stupid like that. But like now people are just combining it and it's just a big boozy I mean, I was just there getting shit faced with like my friends while her and her friends were doing baby shower shit.
Yeah, you could have been getting shit faced with us in Vegas at the Conor McGregor.
I know,
fight.
sounds better.
Just saying.
Baby shower, Conor McGregor fight. Conor McGregor fight, baby shower.
Well, to be honest, the baby would have put up a better fight, even if it's not born yet.
Yeah, that's true.
He just broke himself and then talked shit.
Hey, listen, he's laughing all over the bank. He got off the real train of being a champion, took the money from Mayweather, ran around, and he's got more money than both of us, all three of us combined. So whatever, dude.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a Lamborghini boat.
Boat, yeah.
Which I didn't know was a thing.
Just seemed egregious, to be honest.
But I get to hang out with the two of you, so what does he have that I don't?
Right.
$400 million.
That's not worth it.
You would trade friends for $400 million.
Which I don't, yeah. It's on that. Depends on the friends, I guess.
That's a short list.
Or you can buy better friends.
I could just buy those friends back.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Dan. Okay, Dan, if I made you, one of the elites and you got to hang out with all the bougie people, who's one of the Hollywood elites that you would buy as your friend?
Nope.
No, you got to buy one. You got to find you now that you're, $400 million and you're hanging out and, going to these fancy clubs like these guys do and hanging out at the Hamptons. Who's your boy?
I'd probably hang out with McConaughey, I guess. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
is that his book right there?
Yeah, we had him on the show not too long ago. Yeah, but I could probably make that happen for a lot less money. If I had that amount of money, I would probably spend that money fucking up those people's lives that you're talking about right now. You know what I mean?
Rob, who are you picking?
Yeah, who's your fucking celebrity?
Who's my celebrity friend that I'm buying?
Yeah.
Idris Elba, maybe?
Yeah, that's fine.
He's a cool guy. He might be.
Fine.
I want him.
Wait, is that the guy from Suicide Squad?
Yeah, from The Wire.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the new Suicide Squad.
That movie's terrible, but he's a great actor.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Well, I don't know about wonderful. I don't know why you say it like that. Wonderful was a weird way to say it.
Now we're crossing a line.
Yeah. It's weird that you said that.
I don't know. I'm good with it. I'm good with all of that. I don't know. I just like recency bias. I'll go Tom Hiddleston. Just fucking hang out with Loki.
Yeah, he seems cool.
Yeah.
With like Loki?
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. Plus, all the Anglos, like all the Brits and Australians and Irish and all that, they just fucking rage.
They do party a lot harder. Americans are pussies these days.
Yeah.
So
why not?
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Like apparently, when Katy Perry like first married Orlando Bloom, she and this is like a woman in Hollywood who's probably seen like all kinds of insane shit at parties, was just like stunned at the sheer volume of drinking he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice thing for him.
Yeah.
Although watching, to be honest, go ahead.
I think it might be a future guest for the program.
I don't know. Watching Tom Hiddleston walk like a tough guy there's a part of my brain that rebels. Like
Loki was probably one of the best Disney Plus shows.
For sure. I mean, it's well, I don't know. The Mandalorian's pretty good, but yeah, Loki.
Mandalorian's great.
Out of the new ones that have come out, the one with what's his nuts? Bucky.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. That shit.
That's pretty good.
Fucking terrible. I hated it.
I liked it.
I hated that.
I
so
enjoyed
much.
it, but like the problem is like the stakes are so low compared to like they do that. They're like, oh, there's a terrorist, and then like Loki's like all of time is at stake.
Yeah.
It's just
true,
like who cares about?
You guys watch WandaVision?
I liked WandaVision, although the first episodes are kind of boring. Like the first episode I was just like, so is this just gonna be a Dick Van Dyke episode?
I couldn't make it through the first episode.
Because nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean it was rough, but eventually I will go back and watch
the back nine, so to speak.
Yeah.
Were really good. The first two, it was like interesting, but I was like, it's literally nothing happening.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Bad Batch has been pretty good.
Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, the Star Wars,
Cartoon.
during the Clone Wars, or maybe right after. I can't remember. I haven't watched that one yet. Save that when the child's there and I'm not doing anything, just sitting around.
What do you? Wait, hold on a second. When the child's there and you're not doing anything?
Well, I mean, I'll just be sitting with an infant. I mean, what do? You change the diaper, you go put him to sleep, get him up.
Have you not read What to Expect When You're Expecting?
Not yet.
Yeah,
Is nobody giving you any advice?
I mean, I took a baby class.
I gave him some advice once they found out she was pregnant. He didn't take my advice, and now here we are, right?
To not keep it? Was that the advice?
You didn't specify.
All right, that's fair.
I'm just going to tell you that what the advice we got was as long as the baby doesn't, you don't drop the baby on your head and he's alive tomorrow, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Because you'll get no sleep. I'm just going to scare the living. I'm just going to scare you right now. You're going to get no sleep. Your house will never be clean again. Everybody else goes, oh, well, I'm not going to have baby stuff all over my house. That's all you're going to have. From now on, whenever you go to the store, you're going to look for stuff like, you roll into lids. Right now, you're looking, oh, what kind of hat can I go find for myself? Now, that's over. From now on, everything you look at will only be for your kid. You walk in the mall, you're not going to look at the stores you like. You're going to look to find stuff for your kid.
Well,
there we go.
Yeah, it's
all over.
Just end it now. Do you want my gun?
Yeah, I'll go to the bathroom with it. I don't want you guys to do a lot of cleanup. Yeah, that's fair.
But you know what though? It is cool. I mean, my number one priority in life is being the best dad that I could be. It used to be other stupid stuff. Like I wanted to be the best talk show host. I wanted to do this. All that stuff's stupid.
Yeah.
Being the best dad that I could possibly be and trying to raise someone who I can be proud of is the most important thing in my life. So there are cool stuff, Rob, like when your son looks at you and goes, Dad, you were right. That's probably one of the coolest things you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah. Well,
it takes a while because most of the time he tells me I have no idea what I'm talking about. And every once in a while I go, Dad, you were right. And then I get to lord it over and go, scoreboard, and then punch him.
Yeah, see, I would just be like, I know I was.
Yeah,
You're 6.
I didn't need you to tell me I was right.
Yeah.
Asshole. Speaking of being proud, now's the point of the show where we get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week. It's somebody that's inspired you during your progression through life and whether as a person or in business or whatever, right?
Yeah, anything.
Who's it going to be?
Wow, that's a big one, man. There's been so many people that are really, really good to me. Do most people get stumped by this?
A lot of people do, yeah.
Yeah.
And we never prepare anyone for it.
No, we never tell them what's coming. You get a lot of dads. I'd say dad and mom are number 1 and 2, and wife is probably right in there as well.
Dad, mom, wife, mentor. Those are the 4 major.
If I talk about my dad, I'm going to start crying.
Yeah, well,
I lost him a couple of years ago. My dad was a superhero, right? Like he's the size of Dan. Dan, how tall are you?
About 6 foot. Little.
Okay,
over.
my dad's
I was a little
tall.
over 6 foot, but
my dad was a cop. He was 6'4".
Wow.
He was a migrant farm worker as a kid, right? Came from nothing, and he said, "I'm going to work my tail off. I'm going to give you guys a better life." And he did. He became a cop. He got hurt in a jailhouse fight, ruptured 4 discs in his neck, and lived with 4 ruptured discs in his neck his entire life. 35 years. He's every day in excruciating pain, never really complained. He did so many great things. He was a firefighter, and this is back in the day where they didn't have the jaws of life in every fire department. So he would go and try to rescue people with a crowbar, and he couldn't do it. So he got mad. He goes, "We need a jaws of life." And the fire chief said, "Well, if you want one so bad, go buy it yourself." And he did. and he did, but he got run off by the fire department because the chief thought he was going to run for fire chief. So he got fired before he got to use it. And I told him when he was dying, I said, "Dad, you realize there's people walking around on the face of this earth that are only there because their parents or their grandparents were saved because of that jaws of life that you bought in that little farm town?" And he goes, "There are people that are celebrating weddings today that don't even know you exist. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be around."
Right.
So if you're gonna put me on the spot like that, my dad, Joe Herrera, was a superhero.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I can't. Literally self-funding a jaws of life. I literally just started Googling.
People do that a lot, though. People do that a lot. I mean, the average school teacher in America spends $400 to $600 of their own money buying school supplies for their kids because the fucking districts won't.
Oh yeah.
He started a police athletic league because he got tired of watching kids get in trouble. He would just always give back, and he taught me that you should give back and try to make a difference. And I've done that, and hopefully my kid's going to do that. And one day when he has kids, I hope he teaches them that same lesson.
Yeah, you gotta hope that's the case. It's hard to translate.
Sorry if I brought down the show.
No.
It's difficult to to simulate the harsh times required to give somebody this perspective necessary to realize how important service to your community is. I don't know if we'll ever figure that out. You just get it. You got to put them in those scenarios. Expose your kids to, people that have it a lot worse off than they do. It's probably the only real solution to that, right? And you've had an opportunity to do that because you work with Children's Dream Fund, Make-A-Wish, Heart Gallery, all these organizations. So
it was so cool. I used to take kids on the field that were fighting cancer. Mm-hmm. And you know what? And we get this, Rob, Dan, we get this, oh, my day sucks. Everything's awful. I'm with so much pressure. I get some 8-year-old kid with cancer, bald, translucent white because they're going through chemo. And they roll into the ballpark. And I gotta be honest, I was kind of a jerk to him. I'd meet him at the ballpark and I'd say, okay, didn't they tell you have to have a jersey to go on the field? And the kid would look up at his mom and dad with a panic look in the face. The mom and dad are getting mad, and everybody's standing there looking. And I go, let me see what I could do. You guys are going to have to stand here for a minute. And I'd walk out of the room, and the family's just freaking out, and the Children's Dream Fund people are trying to calm them down. I walk back out. I go, well, I found this bag. So let me see if let me open it up. And I open it up, and I have their jersey with their name on it. And I go, okay, now you can go on the field, and here's a bat with your name on it. We'll get everybody to autograph. Here's some baseballs. I brought some baseballs for your brothers and sisters, your mom and dad. And I would take them on the field. Joe Madden was great. Joe Madden let me do this. I put the kid's picture up in the clubhouse so all the players knew that if you saw this kid with me on Tuesday, this was a kid fighting cancer, going through some really tough spot. And all the players would walk by and they'd see me with them, and they'd all walk over, spend some time, play catch with them, sign autographs. Mom and dad got to be there. They got to throw out the first pitch. And it really helped me keep everything in perspective. As bad as my daily life is today, I got it so good. Right. I got it so good. We all have it so good.
And you know what? Just because I think it's nice that you treated it like, just because you have pediatric cancer doesn't mean you can't have a prank pulled on you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
No, and because it broke. Because everybody and their brother, you don't know what to say. Like if you meet a kid with cancer, what are you going to say to him?
Treat him like a kid. Treat him like a person, right?
You want to treat him like a regular person.
Right.
Then the brothers and sisters sometimes get jealous because everything is thrown on the kid that's sick. The brothers and sisters sometimes get jealous. So when you got to include them and they got to go on the field and they got to be part of that special moment, it was great for the family. And then guys, sometimes kids don't make it.
Yeah.
So I've been invited to their funerals, which really puts it all in perspective. Other times, I'll have kids walk up to me and give me a big hug. I'm like, I don't know who this kid is, man. What are you doing? Get off me.
Like, oh, God. And yeah, that's a panic situation, actually.
It's like 6 years later, and it's a kid that fully recovered, and they've got their hair back, and they put on 50 pounds, and they look healthy and normal and everything. And they're like, you can't believe how much of a pick-me-up that was and how what you did to our family to help me get through this. And I'm like, whoa. And they'll show me pictures from 10 years ago of being there with them while they were sick. And I'm like, man, I don't even remember that, but they remembered it. And I think my dad would be proud of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great.
No, it was a worthy inclusion. Hey, thank you so much, Rich, for being here.
I hope I did a good job. I mean,
always.
The show's great.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't get too philosophical. If you guys want to talk about more X's and O's next time, we will.
Well, we can do whatever you want.
Yeah, 100%. No,
I want to see this whole thing. I want to see how Rob's going to do the moment that it comes where now all of a sudden we just drop this other human being. You're responsible for their life forever. Just to scare the.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It really hasn't hit me yet, so I'm just getting. I'm just getting as many nights of drinking in as I can before the baby comes out.
Yeah,
and then it's just never again probably. But whatever, gotta do what you gotta do. Hey, thank you so, Rich Herrera. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can everybody find you? You find me on Twitter, RBI Rich. Easiest way to find me. And guys, I appreciate you having me on the program. Rob, it's been great. Dan, you're my boy.
Yeah, see you soon. We'll have you back on soon and discuss some stuff after the football season.
Yeah, say Pac-12 football and all that fun.
So, hey, we say it properly. It's a conference of champions.
Oh, God. All right, Bill Walton.
Not since Reggie Bush.
Yeah. All right, Rich Herrera, everybody. Thank you so much.